Thank you, Ashley and Gus, for inviting me, and Sandy for introducing me to Ashley. Like you all know, my name is Sofia Castro. My background, I'm going to go real quickly because if not, I'll take up the whole entire time that I have up here to speak about generational wealth. Myself and my husband, we were raised in Hialeah, Florida. If any of you are from here, you know it's a small little town with a very Latin community. And none of myself or my husband didn't know each other, but we both dropped out of high school and did not graduate or go to college. But when we met, we knew that we didn't want to continue the path that our parents took, and that we wanted to do something more, especially my husband. When I met him off the bat, he told me, I'm just not your normal individual that's going to go work for somebody. I am definitely going to be an entrepreneur. I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was. I met him at 18 years old. But I dropped out of school because I wanted more. I'm one of 7, and my parents came from Cuba and had absolutely nothing. They worked really, really hard. We had a roof over our head and food to eat, and that was about all. But for me, the loving home, I was rich. For me, I didn't even know that I was poor until I met my husband. And so we decided that we were going to do something for ourselves and not work for anybody. And when 6 months after we met, we became pregnant by mistake. I was 19 years old, he was 22. Both of our parents didn't have money, and we were like, okay, now how are we going to do this? But we were going to do it some way or the other, and we decided to put our heads into creating businesses. And of course, we failed many times. We failed probably 6-7 times in small little businesses because we didn't have the knowledge, number one. Number two, we didn't have the money to back us up. But in that journey, we always learned from our failures. Any failures we had, instead of going and digging ourselves into a hole, and we're like, oh, we failed, we got to go back and we're not going to do this anymore. No, we just wrote down what we did wrong and let's do it right the next time. And fortunately, we decided, we opened our finance company. We just went full focus, not just focused. We were very driven focus. We knew what we wanted and what we were going to do and what it was going to take to get there. In that time, all we thought about was being rich or having enough money to be able to buy a car, to buy a house, to buy jewelry, we had no clue what we were really getting ourselves into. The only thing is that we knew we wanted to be our own bosses and have enough money to live. So in this journey, we're going to go over a couple of things to explain to you what we did in order to get there. And there's going to be a few phrases that we created along these ways that really helped us get through it. And I know it sounds silly or it's going to sound cliche, but one of them, or the main one, was positive mental attitude, PMA, all day, every day. And if you guys follow myself or my husband, you're going to see my husband says it all day long. But being positive about anything you're going to do, it really, really helps. If you knock out all that negativity that you get from your surroundings, and especially from the family members, you're always going to get those. But your surrounding, your closest peers are always going to give you the negatives instead of giving you the positive. But if you stay focused on what you want and you really think positive about what you're going to do, one way or another, I don't know if it's manifesting, I don't know if you guys have read The Secret, but it really happens when you put yourself, you have that positive mental attitude. Of course, you have to do the work. It's just not going to come to you. But if you really, really focus and you know what you want, you're going to get it. It's coming to you. Another thing that we always say is non-refundable minutes. Your minutes in your life, I don't care who you are. You could be the prince, you could be the princess, you could be the billionaire in the world. You can't buy these minutes. They're gone. Minutes, it doesn't matter who you are. So if you don't value your minutes, it's impossible for you to be able to get anything accomplished. And it is hard. People, they don't realize this. And your valuable minutes is going out and saying, oh, I'm going to go and have fun. I'm going to go to the beach today because I want to. Yeah, that's great and dandy, but you're missing out on those minutes that you have on your goals or on whatever you want to do if you don't really put those minutes to work. So yeah, there is minutes that you want to spend on the beach, or if you want to go out and party, if you want to go, whatever it is, but understand that those minutes will not be refundable. They're not coming back. So, taking advantage of every minute of the day is very important. And then the other one is stack and rack. And what stack and rack means for us is that you stack all your money that you have and you rack it into knowledge and investment that's going to give it back to you in life. So those three things we lived by since we started off our journey. And I tell you what, it has worked out to be amazing. And a lot of people say, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, that's cliche. But that's just the way we did it. So just giving you 3 little tips of the way that we did it. So I'm going to go through some slides. Is it the top one? Okay. Oh, did I turn it off? Oh, the side? Okay. Okay. So this here is going to take a little involvement with you guys. I want you to help me out on this one. So we're going to use our imagination. Okay, and this here, myself and my husband, we have 100-year legacy that we want to leave behind. We're working on something that we are going to bring out to show everybody, but me and my husband have this legacy that we want to leave behind 100 years minimum, and if it could continue, beautiful, but that our generation to come is going to remember us on what pathways we created, right? So let's count down 3 so that we could say it's 21, 23. So let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. And it's 2023. And your great children are cheering to your name. Why? Because we're the ones that went over all of these obstacles, created a roadmap for them to be able to continue this generational legacy that we have created, right? Our parents didn't get to do it. We're the first generations to be able to do this for us. So we want to leave this behind. So you want to make sure that whatever legacy it is for us, we've created our finances in a finance company and real estate. So we want to leave this generation, our generations to come, with this legacy of being able to create, to be able to continue with this road path that we have created for them. So goals, you always want to produce, protect, and perpetuate, right? Your wealth. You want to continue it. You want to be able to do something that's going to create for you, because as we all know, money just doesn't grow on trees. And if you create it and you do not produce with that money to continue creating, it's going to run out. I don't care how many millions, how many billions you have. If you're not able to reproduce this, it's going to say bye-bye. And this is one of the things that in our goals, we always put this on our list, is how are we going to be able to reproduce and protect our legacy, our wealth. So profits is the planning. And this is, again, where we're going. We have a lot of planning on our legacy, on our family office that we created, but it's not always what you want for the future, right? So what we do is that we like to plan with our whole entire family. I have adult kids. Like I said, I had them very young. I have a 31 and a 26-year-old. They don't want to do the same thing that we do. They come into the business, and I have my daughter that she likes fashion. My son loves finance and real estate, so he's in it. But so you need to create for them to be able to do what they like as well, but knowing that it falls within your goals that we're all planning, because they are the ones that are needing to continue this. So having goals without a greater vision is like driving a car with no destination, right? So if you have goals, and a lot of the speakers here have been saying this, but you put a goal down and you don't know exactly what that goal is or what it's the purpose for it, it's going to go nowhere. So it's very important when you talk about generational wealth, and I know maybe a lot of you, any of you have already started your planning on generational wealth for your family? So this is something that is very important. A lot of people tell me when I speak on stages, oh, but I just started my business. I haven't made any kind of wealth yet. It doesn't matter. Starting when you have zero is where you need to go, because it's so much better that you have a vision of what you want your generational wealth to be. Where do you want it? What's that legacy that you want to create? It doesn't matter that you don't have anything. I wish I would have had the knowledge and the understanding of generational wealth when I first started, because I missed out on so many years and steps that I could have done at the very beginning, and we didn't, because we didn't really know this. Like I said, our first mindset was, I just want to be rich. I just want to be rich. And it's not the right way to think, but if you don't have the information, you can't do it. So it's very important that you start with your goals about generational wealth. Okay, so vision must be big, visible, multifaceted, and use the SMART goals. There's something that's called SMART goals, and I'm going to go through it in my slides. But you always have to think big. Don't ever allow anyone to tell you that's too big for you. Because if you don't think big, you will never reach, you'll always have a ceiling. And having a ceiling is the worst thing you could ever do when you want to create, when you want to be that entrepreneur, or even working in a large corporation for, that you're an employee, but like she said, you're an entrepreneur at heart. If you don't think big, you'll always have a ceiling. So the bigger you think, and it doesn't mean that you're going to think big, I want to be, whatever it is that you want to be, that you're going to be tomorrow. But if you think big, you're going to get there. You're going to force yourself because you're not reaching that goal yet. And you're like, oh my God, I got to get there. Next year, this is going to be this. But big, think always big. Always. It doesn't matter what it is. Personal, career, business. Always big. Visible, and multifaceted. Your brain, and there are studies about this, like Sandy said before, if you see it on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, you're more likely to get this done. So for us, I always have this whole plan that I'm doing for 100 years. I have it on a vision board on what I'm envisioning. I'm always looking at, all these big families that have created this legacy. And it's multifaceted. You need to be able to do different things in order to get to that vision that you want. You can't stay stuck with, I'm going to only do real estate because that's what I want to do, and if you fail, I'm not going to go nowhere else but just real estate. You can't, because you don't know what's going to come around. There's environment, there's markets, so you always have to be able to create different lanes in order for your big goal to accomplish your big goal. Using the SMART goals and actions, you're going to see those are goals that you're going to put that are able to achieve them, to be able to do it on your own. And we're going to go over it in a little bit, so I don't want to get too much into the SMART goal. This was a wrong slide, but okay. This is myself and my husband when we first met. I was actually pregnant with my daughter there. And this is supposed to be, the slide was supposed to say, if the difference between thinking of being rich and being wealthy, they're so different. Very, very different. And like I said, when you first start, that's the first thing you come to your mind. Oh my God, I want to be rich. I want to have the Mercedes. I want to have the mansion. I want to have 2 houses. I want to wear the Rolex. And that's great. That's awesome. That's the way that you start, and everybody, it's normal. But it's such a difference in being rich and being wealthy. When you're rich, you have to go to work every single day. You got to wake up and you know that if you're not there, whatever it is that you're doing is not going to get done, or it's not going to produce. And being wealthy is that you've made it where you are not needed at that, whatever it is, the business, the investments, whatever it is. You don't need to be there physically on a daily basis. You could have your financial freedom. You could call what you want to do. You are able to, that roadmap has been built. So now it's so much easier to walk it than having to be with that, hammer or whatever it is to be able to carve it out and be there. So now today, think about what it is that you really want for your long term, for your legacy, for your generational wealth. Skip being rich. It's the same effort that you're going to put into whatever you're doing to create rich than to create wealth. And you'll see, once you start thinking about it, you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about. I don't know what happened here. What did I do? Okay. So here's some of the stuff that the other speakers already spoke about, but it's very important that when you do a vision board, an action board, whatever you want to call it, that you just don't put there material stuff. You need to have meaningful stuff that's going to really make a difference on what your goals are. Because like I just spoke about, that rich mentality compared to that wealth mentality is you're able to accomplish so much more, and to tell you the truth, it becomes so much easier because your mindset is for long term instead of that, I want to hustle and bustle and then what? And then you did what? You got there and you can't maintain it. It's a constant battle. So, making sure that when you do these meaningful things that, what do I want to achieve and learn? What is it? What is it really that I really want to do? Skills needed. Guys, in order for you to have your goals, if you don't have skills, you can't accomplish a lot of stuff. You can't just say, and that happened to me. The reason why I'm saying this, myself and my husband, when we first started, we had no skills. We had no knowledge. We thought that we're not, I was 19, he was 22. Oh, we could kill this. We have it all. At that age, you think, oh my God, I don't need anything. I'm the smartest. I'm the best. Nothing could happen to me. Nobody knows more than I do. It's all those things and skills. And I'm not talking about going to a college or university or becoming a doctor, none of that. I'm talking about the skill sets you need for the goals that you want to accomplish, for the vision that you have for your legacy is what I'm talking about. Your resources needed. When you want to open a business or when you have a business and you want to scale your business, what resources do I need in order to accomplish this? And that was one of the things that really helped us a lot in our businesses, was the resources that we were able to obtain in order to scale. You can't do this on your own. You need a team. I don't care how smart you are. How much money you have. You need a team in order to accomplish your goals of a business, of something that you really want to build. It's impossible to do it with one person. It's not a realistic thing. So you always need resources. So learn about the resources that you need in order to accomplish your goals. And everybody's resources in here are going to be completely different. For every business, for any goal that you want, everybody has their own individuality of what they're seeing, what they want. So those are very important. Masterminds that you want to join. I think masterminds, I wish I had known about masterminds when I was young. They are incredible. The networking that you're able to be with around the same mindsets the help that you're able to get from each individual. Everybody brings something different to the table. You're able to grow your mind, your skill sets, your resources that you need. The best place to find them are always in these masterminds. You always have something that you could get out of each mastermind that you join. And I try to attend, I speak in a lot of these masterminds, and I'm always in the audience. Always. I always sit there, I always listen to other speakers. It doesn't matter what I've accomplished. I'm still growing. I never want to stop growing, personally or in my career. So listening to others speak, sitting down, networking with individuals in masterminds is the best. I've found many resources in these masterminds. And I know a lot of people say, oh, but I don't have the money. I don't want to spend that thought. I know I want to do, I'd rather go buy something or go get on vacation. Well, let me tell you something. If you're not where you want to be in life, at the point of your life where you're at, these masterminds are where you need to spend your money at. They are the best things that could ever give you when you want to grow. Conferences, habits. There's a lot of habits that we create that stop us a lot of times from us getting where we want to get, doing what we want to do. And every year we try to write down what habits we want to leave behind, because you create them without even knowing. You create them. At the end of the year, you're like, oh my God, I have this habit that's stopping me from, this is what's stopping me. So, we write down, what do we want to leave behind for this year that stopped us from doing whatever it is? And get them out of the way. And there might be some great habits that you don't want to let go of. One of those, if you're an organized person and you have all those skills, you don't want to let go of that habit. Being on a calendar, you don't want to let go of that habit, but there are habits that stop you from going where you want to. How will I feel once I achieve these? The feeling is amazing. I don't know if you guys have ever sat there and said, wow, even though you're not where you want to be, but you accomplished that first step of a goal and you were able to do it, you feel amazing. And that just gives you the fuel to go for it and go even faster. And you just start getting in that good feeling, that PMA that just lets you go. So this is Tony Robbins saying, and I love it. It's setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. I love this from Tony Robbins. Okay, so let's reverse engineer your goals and I do this, guys, and I'm talking about generational wealth goals for me. I'm very, very big into creating this legacy that I want to leave behind. So when I talk about what I'm talking about for me is more mindset and goal setting for my generational wealth legacy that I want to leave behind. But you always have to have an annual goal. Always. You have to have that big goal that it's going to take you 12 months to get there. Then you want to break it down to, I call them stepping stones, where you have that monthly goal, the weekly goal, and the daily goal. You cannot accomplish a goal in one day. It's impossible. I don't care how good you are. So daily, you can have those little stepping stones that will get you there. This year is going to talk more about real estate, because I don't know if you guys all know, but that's my main business is real estate. So I just put things there that, the big goals for the year, what does it take to accomplish it? Revisit your business or your career stepping stones that you have. How can you get it better? What can you do to be able to get those stepping stones to go on a road map that is so much easier than just going zigzagging? Because, when you go to the sides and you start zigzagging, it takes so long to get to the end. But when you have that roadmap that you plan out, that you have those stepping stones, it's such an easy pathway. You're going on a straight line. And when you go in a straight line to get to that end goal, it's so much easier. And I've done the zigzagging for many years. many, many years. So I'm not saying, oh, well, I'm here perfect and I know that this is the way. No, it's just these are the steps that I did wrong, and now I learned, and we're doing them a little different, and they're so much easier. Okay, so we're to the SMART goals. And again, I didn't come up with this. This is something that's out there. I've taken the steps, and it makes it so much easier again. So you could read them, but S is for specifics. You need to make sure you understand your goals. You want to make sure that you know what it is. You see it clearly, because if you don't see it clearly, how can you create that stepping stones to get there? They're measurable. You want to make sure that there's something that you are able to do, that or your team, that you're able to make it where you, your team, whoever your partner is able to do it. Because if you don't measure it, and if it's not real, we're going to get to realistic, but if you don't measure it, how do you know that you're going to get there by the end of the year? And those are those stepping stones that you have to create. Actionable. They have to be action orientated. They have to be able that you are able to take action to putting whatever those stepping stones are. They have to make sure that you're able to do it with your team. Again, I never do nothing alone, because I'm not an octopus, and I always love to create my team, so that my team and myself have these same visions and that we know where we're going. They have to be realistic. You can't just say that I want to be a billionaire in 1 year. Can that happen? 1 out of a million? Yeah. I mean, but I guess. But is it realistic? No. It takes a lot of work. If not, everybody would do it. So you have to be realistic with your goals. You never want to feel like if you're a complete failure. When you start feeling like you're failing, it brings down your morality, your everything. It just doesn't make you feel good. So having realistic goals, and remember, goals, you're doing them yearly. So yeah, do you have a big vision that in 10 years or 5 years or 3 years, whatever it is, this is what I want? But your yearly goals, they need to be realistic, that you know that you can make those marks, get there. And time bound. You have to have a time limit on each stepping stone. Because I believe, Mary, you spoke about it, right? That if you don't, how are you going to be able to get to the next stepping stone? You're going to be the silent quitter if you don't, right? You need to have, okay, so in a month, I want to have this goal done. In 2 months, I want to have this goal done, so that when the 12 months gets here, your goal got met. And this SMART thing, I love it. It's made my life so much easier when it comes down to making goals. And you also want to ask yourself, with these goals that you put on, for example, for me, my legacy, my 100-year legacy creation that I'm building, I always look at this. Does it boost your profits? For us, it does, because it's going to continue the growth of our legacy that we have created, and it's just going to continue boosting and lasting longer than what we expected. Accelerated cash flow. On your businesses, the monthly cash flow is always, no matter what business you're in, that monthly cash flow of whatever business is very important, because it's what keeps going for you to be able to continue creating, being able to get your business to a different level. So it's very, very important. Scaling your business revenue. You never want to stay stunned. So with your goals, you need to make sure that you know that you are increasing your revenue on yearly, monthly, whatever it is. But if you don't, what are you doing? You're staying like in a hamster wheel. You're just sitting there and working very, very hard and doing nothing. You're just staying in the same place. So, these goals need to make sure that they're accomplishing with your goals. So now we're going to talk about 2 families that I often speak about because they are the perfect model of what you do wrong and what you do right. So the Vanderbilts, I'm sure all of you know them. Today, they have $0. They do not have any, their trust is at zero. They had to sell everything. The Vanderbilt, the Biltmore, they don't own that no more. Gloria Vanderbilt was the last generation to be able to, and he would have been the richest person in the world today compared to all of the billionaires that we have on this earth. Okay, he was very envisioned, what he did, the railroad tracks, transportation, the whole 9 yards. He worked so hard, but guess what? He didn't create a legacy or a platform for their families to take on. What did he do? He just left all his money. He died with somewhere between $90 to $105 million to his son, William, somewhere around there. But unfortunately, his son, William, which was carrying on that legacy, died 9 years later. So 54 years later, that family is completely broke after William died, the son. Why? He didn't leave a legacy behind. The trust had no rules. He created socialites. And it's like what I said. You can make all the money in the world, but if it's not reproducing, what's going to happen? It's going to be gone. And this is a perfect example of why I'm so passionate about creating a legacy behind and putting in, a platform, a roadway, a roadmap, whatever you want to create. Now the Rockefellers, they're a family that are 7 generational strong right now, and strong. They're very strong. He made, he left behind 9 million, in today's world, he would have had $418 billion, net worth. He left, $5 million to his charity. He left $460 million to his son. But before he died, he created a whole entire legacy rules. They don't split their money. All their assets stay in one trust. And I believe, I don't know exactly the number, but I believe it is about 135 members right now that live off of this trust. It's some big number. And they're not able to go into that pot and just get the money. They can't do that. They have to come in with a business plan. They have to come in with explanations. It has to be a purpose. They have to sit down with a board, and then they're able to get whatever they need if it makes sense for them, because they have core values. They have to be involved. They have to be aligned with what their legacy is all about. They're big charity. They have foundations that they're very, very big on. But this is the difference, guys. Whether you want to do it right or you want to do it wrong. Same work. You went out there, you're creating this money, you're creating this empire that they both created, huge empires. And look at this. One is 7 generations strong. The other one lasted 3. And today, no family member has anything except that they could look back and say, wow, my great-grandfather or my grandfather did this, but I have nothing to show for it. So make sure you understand that, because we're the ones right now. I don't know if any of you come from other generations or you're the first generations to create what you're creating, but it's a lot of work. I don't know about you guys, but we're still working hard, still putting in the time. I still go to work every single day, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 9 to 10, whatever it is. And I don't want to do all this work and know that 2 generations down, they completely just go and blow this all out just because they want to go have fun. It needs to be some type of purpose. You're working the same amount of time, putting in the same hard work. All you need to do is just have a purpose for it. Create that roadmap, give them guidelines, teach them how to be able to create for them. You know, and then again, and it doesn't necessarily need to be in your business that you created. It just needs to have a purpose that they want to, but that they're creating as well, and that they're making this empire work instead of draining it. So, legacy lessons from the Hard Rock, right? Hard Rock, I'm sorry, taking Hard Rockefellers. Keeping the money together. This is hiring a trusted financial professional. We have a company that we hired specifically for this. So all of our money is managed by a financial planner that understands what we're looking for this long 100-year legacy that we want to create. They know exactly. We meet with them every quarter and we go over exactly. And sometimes we've changed our plan, our roadmap. We have different things that we add, we learn. Again, from masterminds, we've sat down and we're like, wow, he's doing this. We don't have that in our planning. That's a great idea. So we go back and we'll implement that or remove something else and just modify it. It doesn't mean that it needs to be 100% set in stone. Until you're in this earth, you're able to move it around and do and say what you want to do with it. But start planning from today. It doesn't matter if you have $0. Start planning today for that. Creating the trust, the estate planning, the wills, the asset protection measurements, super important, because I don't know if you guys know, but at least here in Florida, your trust, if you don't leave it right, the government gets over 60% or 80% of your trust. Your kids or your grandkids will need to sell, pay, do whatever they have to do. If you pass and you don't have this correctly, the government's taking it. So this is very, very important as well. We hired an attorney that specifically only does trust for long-term legacy. So very important. I didn't know this until probably 4 years ago. So I didn't do it properly at the beginning, myself or my husband. Luckily, we're still here, and we were able to change it. But if something would have happened to us prior, the 4 years prior, they would have not been done correctly, and our kids would have had to, give up a lot of the wealth that we've created. Setting guidelines and directions of how the money could be spent. You're the one that made, this happen. So, of course, you could put in whatever rules, you want in there, but it's very important because you don't want, God forbid, one of your children or great-grandchildren becomes a drug addict, goes out, does things that you really don't want, and they're able to have access to that and just be able to go out there and spend it all or do it in the wrong way. But then again, you want to leave, things where you are empowering them to be able to create. So leaving all of these, instructions on how you want, and everybody's so different. Everybody has different ways of thinking, different ways that they want to leave it behind, how much you want to give them or not give them. So it's important that you sit with a professional. We actually hired a psychologist that handles high net worth families on how to learn to leave this legacy behind. And they're actually creating this whole entire plan. They meet with my family twice a month. They meet with our children individually, and then they meet with us together as a family, and we go over exercises and ideas, and they come up with and tell us, hey, this child, your daughter said this, your son said this, and you're saying this. Now we need to come together because they're all three different visions. Again, my kids are adults already, so they're the ones that are going to really be leading this 100-year legacy once, we're gone. So we need to have direction. They need to have input into our legacy plan, because once we're gone, they have to know how to manage it, how to create it. So we give them the opportunity to step in and give ideas so that we could all then come in, we communicate, we balance it out, say, okay, this is what sometimes we say, guys, there's not a negotiation. This piece is going to stay here no matter what, right? So we do have the power of saying what we want and don't want in a way, but we love to take their input because we want them to continue this, and their children and their children's children. So we love their input. And we just last month when we met, as a matter of fact, something happened that they had an input on something that we wanted to leave behind, and they were like, but guys, what happens in 50 years, 60 years, you're not here. This is not realistic for us. This was you guys. So we compromised and we moved some stuff around, and it made sense because they're going to be the leaders at one point. Buying life insurance for your family. I know this sometimes is creepy and it's like, oh my God, I don't want to buy life insurance. This is, I don't like this. They're so young. Why do we need it? But it's something that the Rockefellers did, and it makes so much sense because number one, the earlier you buy insurance, and it has to be the right insurance, guys, because there's a lot of life insurances that make no sense. And that's something that you need to talk to your financial planner about, because everybody's wants and needs are so different. But it's something that makes a lot of sense to do early on. Okay, so perpetuating your wealth. Investing time to create legacy mindset. This is, again, what we were talking about. I hired a psychologist to help me input this in my kids' mindset because I want to make sure that they cannot be selfish to just think about themselves. And just like we're not being selfish, myself and my husband, we're thinking about our great grandkids, so you don't want to have that mindset, oh, this is all mine. This is going to be mine. I don't want nothing else. I'm going to spend this money. I don't care. And I, believe it or not, I belong to some groups that are very high net worth individuals. And I tell you, some of them say, I don't care of my kids. I worked hard. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm doing this. And that's great and dandy for that person. But in my family, there's no way. This mindset of leaving legacy and creating something that we could continue on for generations to come is a must. That's a non-negotiation in my family. It's very important. So having that mindset of creating to your children, of saying, I'm going to create, but it's going to last, and I'm going to bring it on to my next generation. It's I love them. I love that process, and it's so fun because it allows you to have this communication, this connection with your kids. And when we do these meetings with our psychologists, it's so interesting to see how your children get involved to create, and it really brings a conversation to the family all the time because we're always talking about what we could do better for the next generation. Pass on values so that family visions don't stop with you. What I just said. And family retreats and meeting. We do a family gathering, like we'll take a trip just to sit down, just us 6 because we're, 8 with the babies. My 2 kids are married, my son's going to get married next in about a few months, but he's been living with his fiance for many years. But we all sit down. I bring in the in-laws. They have to be part of it because they are part of my children's life. So if they don't have this mindset as well, how can my kids continue it if you have one that's pulling away or they're thinking, oh, I got it made with this. I got it made. No. We're all going to be working. We're going to all create. We're going to all produce. And both of my in-laws are involved in the business with us. So they understand this legacy very well. And with the help of the psychologist has been amazing because it's brought them in to also bring in ideas and thoughts and, building that roadmap. Family mission statement. I didn't know, we didn't create one until about 2 years ago, I think it was. But a family mission statement is very important, because when that legacy that you're leaving behind and they say that name, just like the Rockefellers, everybody knows their mission, their statements, their what they represent, right? And just like the Vanderbilts, but unfortunately they just didn't leave it behind the right way. So we're coming almost to the end here, but I love to do this exercise every time I come to an event. I want you to do 3 takeaways that you've gotten from the speech about generational wealth and about your goal settings. So you have pens and papers, yeah. So if you write 3 takeaways, what are your 3 takeaways that you have gotten from this presentation, from my speech? I'll give you a few seconds so that I'm not rushing you. And then I want you to do 2 items that you're adding to your vision board. And then not number 1, the last one immediate action that you're going to take in 2023. And I didn't update that one.
I got a question for you back here.
Oh, good. You beat me to it. Okay.
What are some of the family retreats and team building activities you do that you feel share all your values and create some kind of unity within your family that portray this multi-generational goal?
So we do a dinner. We try to do it twice a month. Sometimes it gets too busy and we do it once a month. And we sit down in the table and we talk about what ideas or what went wrong with some of the steps that we've been implementing. So we all sit down and we share. Sometimes it becomes a little bit friction. Sometimes it's great and everybody loves the whole concept of whatever somebody's putting in. But again, we try to participate in this roadmap that we're trying to create. Like I said, we're working on it, so this is new for us. I just started this whole 100-year legacy, myself and my husband, last year. So we're in that phase of just creating the roadmap, but we sit down and do this talk. What do you like? What don't you like? We did this, and I loved it. I think we should leave it. So we try to do that a lot, and we also, like I said, we have the sessions with our psychologist that specializes in legacy creation, and that is, how we are able to come up with the concepts, what we're going to leave, and the whole 9 yards, and just having everybody have an input to it and really practice it. Sometimes when we put these steps in, we actually have to go and do whatever we worked with the psychologist and actually physically do whatever it was that we implemented. There was one exercise that we gave our children each a certain amount of money, and they had to go and invest it on their own and see how they did with it. Want to see how they do on their own. So that's one exercise that we implemented, because when we leave the legacy behind, when we're not here, and even now, when they want to create a business, they have to come and say, okay, I want to do this. They're in the business, they make their own money, they work for it, but when they want an investment of some sort that they need to go get financing for, they come sit down with us and we go through over the exercise. So we wanted to make sure that they understand how to use their finances the proper way. Also charities. We give them a choice of where they want to implement their money for a charity. One of my rules in my family is that if you're not physically involved with the charity, you can't donate to a charity. It's not about monetary. Here is a philanthropist is you're going to go physically be there, help that organization with whatever one they want. But if you're not physically going to be involved, you can't donate.
Hi. Great presentation, by the way. Just amazing
Thank you.
information. What spurred this whole process in the first place? I mean, what was it that triggered you to say, okay, you know what? Obviously, you've done very well, you and your husband. You've built this business from scratch. Kudos to you both. But what was the light bulb moment for you both?
So there was two big hurrah moments for us. Number one was when we sold, the company that we were with, we actually sold partial parts of the company throughout 4 or 5 years, and at the end in 2019, we sold it 100% of our part. But when we sold the first part of the business, that was like, wow, like I never imagined that we were going to have this kind of wealth, right? And when we deposit that in the bank, I was like, oh my God, wait a minute, what happens for all this hard work that my husband and myself did, and we have all this money in this an account, and what happens if, God forbid, something happens to us? How is this money going to be dispersed? Are my kids going to be fighting with each other, which I hope that never happens because they get along great, but it could create. Yeah. So that started my curiosity of like, okay, we need to go find a financial planner that's going to help us keep this,
protect the wealth.
Protect the wealth.
Yeah.
So that was our first one. Our second one was 3 years ago when we sold the business 100%. I went to a retreat with Richard Branson.
Oh, my hero.
Yes. So he's awesome, amazing individual. I at this point, I go to his place at least once a year and sit with him. He's amazing. He's one of the most humble individuals that I've ever met in my life. Sitting down with him, having a conversation, he has a 100-year legacy. So when I started talking to him, he's like, yeah, I created this, I did this, we have rules, we have this. I was like, whoa, hold on a minute. This is amazing. I love this idea. Wow. So immediately I went back and hired a psychologist that handles these legacies that you want to leave behind, because he hired one. And so those two moments created this, and I just from that moment on, I said, this is exactly what I want. I want to be left behind a legacy of knowing that we paved this roadway for our generations to come.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
At what point would you say is a good time to start, and at what age should the kids be involved? You know what I mean? If the kids are too young, they're not gonna understand, right? So at what point in age-wise for the kids, and then at what point financially should you say, okay, I gotta start this now?
Listen, you should start it from day one with $0.
With $0.
You start it with $0. You already have your mindset of what you want. Like I told you, myself and my husband missed out on a lot of opportunities for the trust, because it has a lot of benefits tax-wise, long-term gains and stuff like that, that if you don't have it properly in a trust, it's too late to start once you have it. So getting knowledgeable on it already from zero makes it so much easier once you start producing it. And believe it or not, I don't know if you believe in manifestation, but I'm a big manifestation. I love manifesting. You start with this idea and mindset, it just automatically starts rolling and rolling, where it's going to happen. It's not if, it's when. And if you start it with zero, I swear you're never early. You're never early to start with this info. Start getting knowledge on it. I know that an investment financial planner might not take you in, right? Because you have $0 or you have 100,000 or you know what I mean? So they might say, oh no, you're too, but I would like to interview you to know how you work, because that's another thing. They all work differently. There's different financial planners with different mindsets, and they might just not align with you. So knowing who you're going to work with, knowing what kind, they're going to help you, they're going to guide you. They have more knowledge on that aspect than you do, right? So they're going to give you information for you to be able to start knowing how you want to do this. And on your children, it's never too early. My grandbabies, they're 4 and 6, and we sit with them already, and we talk to them about our business. We explain to them, they might not know, but if you talk to my granddaughter and you tell her what does PMA stand for, she already knows. She'll tell you positive mental attitude, stack and rack. And when you tell her, Ocean, who's going to take over this business? She goes, I am. I'm going to be the leader. And she knows, but we sit down with her and we explain to her that this is a business that we created and that you need to understand how to run a business, because later on when you get bigger, you need to know how to manage this. And she loves to sit in our meetings. It's never too young. It's just the information that you're going to give them. Of course, you know, are they going to take, but believe it or not, the subconscious mind is amazing. So the more you intake the more intake they get of your business or your legacy wants or needs or whatever it is that you want to create, trust me, it's not what you tell them, is what they see. And they're going to go and follow you no matter, you don't need to say one word. I wish they would do a study on this, because I'm seeing it from my kids. My kids are 31 and 26, and I didn't know about all of this mindset, masterminds, none of this when we were creating our business. But my kids would go to my office every single day from school. I would have to pick them up and take them to the office. They used to do their homework in my office, and they used to sit there till 8 o'clock at night that we were done. Well, guess what? These two kids, they went to college, and they went, Mom, what am I doing in college? They're not teaching me nothing. I want to go, I already know that I want to be an entrepreneur. And today, they're doing and I didn't teach, I did teach them because we brought them into our business, but I didn't sit there and say, you have to do this, you have to do, they saw it. So the environment that they were in, that's all they want to do. And I've never hidden our finances from our children. I've always set them down, and when we had nothing, when we started creating, and when we sold our business, they knew it all. It's an open book, but guess what? They don't have access to go and say, oh, my parents are rich, or I'm going to go and do this, and I'm going to go hang out. I'm going to go buy myself a Rolex. I'm going to go buy myself a... No, you got to earn it. You got to go work just like everybody else every day. The day we're not here, you're going to have something way more than you have right now. And again, you're not going to have an open bank that I'm just going to go. You're going to need to do things the right way, and you can have access to whatever you need as long as it's for it to create generational wealth. But I'd never like to hide any kind of financial status from my kids, because I want them to continue it. I want them to see that it wasn't hard if you put the effort into it. You could create this. Myself and my husband came from $0, zero education, and we were able to build an empire. So I want them to see how hard it was, but it was easy if you put your mind to it. So I never think it's early enough. And there's a book, I don't know if you've ever read it, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad, they have one for kids. I give this to my nieces and my nephews, and it's amazing. And they have a little Monopoly game that's teaching them real estate and how to stack money. I always try to get all of my family members that are babies or young teenagers. It's never too early to learn. Never. You always want to teach them that. Hey, Rosie.
Okay, so I know this lady for years. And first I want to make a comment and then a question. The comment is, This girl right there was afraid of a microphone years ago. She was not able to talk in front of anybody. She
Yes.
will ask me to get the microphone and talk to the employees. And it's always to me like I feel chills when I see her talking, because no fear, everybody can do whatever they want whenever you put in your mind into. And she did. Not only the money, but also, overcome to that problem that she had to speak to others. So good for you, Mama.
Thank you.
And the question I have, and this is something that I have always listened, people that make their money and they go like, oh, but the thing is that I'm not going to explain to my kids, because what if my kids don't want to continue doing what I do? What you would say about that?
Again, my daughter is a perfect example. 31 years old. She dropped out of college because she thought it was just a waste of her time. She wanted to be an entrepreneur, and she thought she was going to learn more from us than she will from school. And when she came back, I said, well, you're going to come back to home, but you've got to get into something. So I said, real estate, back then it was 2011, and real estate was in the ground. Everything was coming. We knew that it was going to be rising back up. And I said, well, you're going to come back. You're going to get your real estate license. You're going to do real estate where you're going to buy rental properties. You're going to manage them. And we'll see where it goes from there. 2 years into it, she didn't like it. She was doing it because she had no other choice at that time, because she knew she had to do something. But she came to me and said, Mom, this is not my passion. I'm not loving it. I'm doing it because I have to. And I said, that's fine. As long as you do something to create, I have no problem with it. And she went off to doing fashion. Right now she's doing a shoe line for maternity, the maternity industry. So I'm okay. Let me see, can you put the slide for me for a minute? I want to show you. Okay. If you could go to the last slide. The one before last. And this is going to answer that question. This is the reason why I want to. Our family mission statement. No, hold on. Can you go to the last, right after it says thank you? I don't know why it's not working for me. The one that says family mission statement. It has it should be right after. Or no, any questions. I think it's right after any questions. After that one? No? Okay, let me see before that. There's not one that says a family mission statement? Oh, weird. Okay. So my family mission statement, no, but it was the actual statement. I don't know why it's not there. Okay, so the family mission statement, it says to perpetuate your fortune and to create within your passion and attack life with purpose. Yeah. That is, so it's not about you following what we did. It's about just putting in to create and to put out purpose in life. Fulfill your purpose. So it doesn't matter, again, and that's why we'll have rules and regulations within our trust. If you want to, come up with a business idea, that's awesome. Come sit down. Let's talk about it. You have a business plan. You're going to do something with it, but we're just not going to go ahead and say, here's everything that we work so hard for, and go spend it on whatever you want. That's not what we did this for. But if they want to go and we're in real estate and finance, but if they want to go into the fashion world, they want to go into the artist world, they want to go into, being a painter, I don't know, whatever it is, as long as they're putting in purpose and creating, I'm fine with that. It's just continue that wealth that we've created so that it could continue for that generation to come and not be spent and have $0 like the Vanderbilts did after, 54 years that he worked so hard for.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
So much.